Good morning and welcome to A Homespun House. My name is Molly and I am the creator behind A Homespun House, making hand-dyed yarns, sock sets, mini sets, different kits for knitwear patterns, and I've recently come out with a new pattern which is super exciting. I put together a lot of really fun, cozy boxes of Hygge and do a lot of yarn clubs and things like that. I have been really cozied up and have been doing quite a bit of fun knitting and making our house a home, as well as preparing the studio. Let's be honest. We just moved into our new home in August of 2020, last year, here in Germany. And yeah, it's been a lot of work getting the studio ready, getting yarn into the shop. There are so many fun things to come this month, and I hope that you guys are really excited about them. One of the new things that has come to A Homespun House is a new pattern, which I'm so excited about. When fall arrives, it is usually the time that I am wrapping up dyeing all of your Advent skeins of yarn. For the past 6 or 7 years, I have been dyeing yarn Advent calendars for A Homespun House for the yarn community. And this year I decided that I would keep one for myself, which I have done many years in the past. I just have never actually knit a cohesive project or a project in general with my mini skeins from Advent calendars in one project. I've added them into socks. So I've added them maybe to a little stuffy. I've added a stripe somewhere, put them into all of the different blankets that I'm knitting. And I thought that this year it would be really fun to design a very comforting, relaxing, warm blanket throw that will bring all of us comfort while we knit on it. It doesn't ask for a lot of thought when knitting it. And so I came up with the Cozy Comfort Throw. This is it. It uses really any scraps that you want. You can make it as big or as small as you want. However, I used 24 mini skeins, and then I used a contrasting color, which takes also about 20 grams for the border of the entire blanket. And this throw uses 2 strands of fingering weight held double, and I used my 24 mini skeins, and then I used one color throughout the entire blanket so that all of the colors would really kind of marl together, and it really created wonderful cohesion. So I used our Fresh Sheets colorway in our gold stellina base, which was so much fun. I really enjoyed just the little pop of sparkle that it added to this blanket. So the blanket is huge. It covers me from toe to my head. You can decide if you want to block it, if you don't want to block it. I initially used the blanket unblocked, and since then I have blocked it, and it's massive. My daughter and I can cuddle underneath of it. Robert, my husband, and I can sit with it on our laps, comfy together, and it's a very warm, squishy, beautiful blanket. And I hope that you all enjoy knitting it so much. So this is called the Cozy Comfort Throw, and it was such a joy to knit. I knit this entire throw. I mean, it's huge. I knit this in the month of December. So I think each stripe maybe took me an hour and a half to knit to 2 hours, and that was it. So it wasn't a lot to commit to each day, and you can have a throw in a month if you really want one. I couldn't put it down. There were days that I opened up Advents early. It was my own Advent calendar, okay? And I didn't remember which color was coming next. So that was a lot of fun, and I enjoyed it so much. So I can't recommend this pattern enough. It is super simple, relaxing, a great way to use up loads of minis. So for this blanket, exactly what I used were 25 20-gram mini skeins and 500 grams of a tonal. So that's 5 100-gram skeins of yarn. However, you could simply marl whichever minis you have. You don't have to necessarily use one colorway throughout your entire blanket to create cohesion. It's really open to interpretation of how you want to knit this blanket. I also had another design that came out this winter, and this is the second year that I have done the Mystery Advent Knit Along for a Homespun House, and both year I have designed shawls. And I enjoyed this design so much. This was another design that I really wanted to be relaxing throughout the winter, holiday, Christmas season. I didn't want it to be something that you have to think about too much. That is never my intention when I am designing something around Christmas time. I think, especially this past year, we've been spending a lot of our time indoors. And so that's why I've decided to call this shawl the Hibernation shawl. You can find it as the 2020 Mystery Advent Knit Along on Ravelry, but the name will soon be changing to the Hibernation shawl with beautiful pictures of the shawl. And I've knit quite a couple of samples of these. So you can decide if you want to knit your shawl with or without mohair, with or without baby alpaca silk. It's kind of up to you. So this does use a fingering weight yarn, but as I mentioned, you can add a strand of mohair in there. So here is one version. You need 2 50-gram skeins of yarn, and then you need 6 20-gram skeins of yarn. Once again, just like the throw, it's very open to interpretation. You can use scraps for this. You could even just use 2 balls of yarn to knit this. You will need a little bit more, as it does call for 220 grams total of yarn. It's a really nice sized shawl, and I just love the way that it wears. So let me just put this on for you. This is as I light my shawl on fire. So here is this shawl. This one is knit out of our Abundance Minis collection, and then I used velvet and blackberry jam for the 250-gram tonals. And I am just so happy with the way that this turned out. It's quite a large shawl, which doesn't require lots and lots of yarn. I love the shape of it. I love the length of it. So here is this one. And then this is another one. All of these are very, very different looks for how the yarn is. And it just shows how much colors can change the way a pattern looks. So this one I knit without mohair. And I used our Tegan colorway, which is this really beautiful blue. And then I used our Dewdrop colorway, which is this kind of light sea glass blue. And then the minis in this one, I used our Northern Lights minis collection. There are a few of those left in the shop. However, all minis that I dye are one of a kind. So I usually will dye a set of minis as I feel inspired, and that is what there will be in the shop. And I have so many minis sets in the shop right now from all different colors, super vibrant jewel tones, really pastel toned. And I hope that those of you who are hoping to knit a project with minis, be it a hibernation shawl, a cozy comfort throw, anything that you're working on really, can find something that you enjoy in our minis collection. This is another version of the hibernation shawl, and the last one is the kit that you will have received if you purchased our mystery knit along. And it's a really fun mystery knit along that we do. You purchase it as a kit, and each Sunday of Advent leading up to Christmas, you have a parcel that you get to open, and that yarn is a complete surprise of what you are knitting. So you had the choice of mohair or no mohair. And if you did choose a mohair option, your shawl will look very different to those who did not, because we were working with colored mohair. So isn't this beautiful? This is the one that just screams Molly. It's my absolute favorite. These are complete one of a kinds. So I unfortunately cannot this is not something that you can purchase in the shop at the moment. However, I am thinking about bringing kits of the Hibernation shawl, the original colors, to the shop, at least as close to it as I can get. But it's so beautiful. And I hope that you guys love that. So very, very open to interpretation just based upon color palette, right? I mean, this is kind of more of a rustic looking set, and I wear this all of the time. Those of you who follow me on Patreon will see that I wear this one a lot. My coat is this velvety colorway, and so it just looks great with that. This one is really pretty too. I wear this usually more so indoors. And now this one is definitely my favorite and the one that I will be grabbing for the most. So cozy. Love it. So it's really big and cozy and definitely manageable to knit in a month. I think when you knit something that has a lot of different color change and mini skeins especially, it is something that you are constantly wanting to grab and knit, and that is definitely what this shawl did for me. Hence the reason I knit so many of them. So many of them. I also have been working on a 2019 Mystery Advent shawl. This also needs to be photographed. You can purchase the pattern in the shop. However, it's just called 2019 Mystery Advent shawl. So my goal is this week to photograph these shawls, get pictures in the patterns. This used 4 50-gram skeins of yarn. However, I'm using one flat color, Fresh Sheets, on our non-superwash base, which I'm absolutely adoring. And I'm mixing it with different colors of mohair. So for here, I paired it with Fresh Sheets. Here I paired it with our Aloe colorway. And then here I've paired it with Scandinavia. And I'm going to finish it with Scandinavia. I'm not going to use 4 different colorways for this shawl. So I'm nearing the end. I probably have 5 hours left of knitting on this shawl, and this is also going to be a super comfy, cozy shawl. I really enjoy knitting shawls, and I don't know, I just love the shape of these and just all of the pretty textures that are involved in here. We have some beautiful eyelets, garter stitch, this beautiful woven texture, and then we have some eyelets coming back. So it's a really fun one to knit. It's also, as I mentioned, a really mindless knit, but that is always how my Mystery Advent knit-alongs will be. I think that's what I want anyway around Advent time. I don't want something that I really, really have to pay deep attention to when I'm knitting on it. I've been really enjoying knitting socks lately, as always. I think I've pretty much been quite consistent in my love of sock knitting. And I have recently knit and finished 4 pairs of socks. The first pair I don't think I have shared with you finished. This is a pair of holiday themed socks out of our Double Dare colorway, which is this one right here. And then here we have Hibernation. Hibernation is a Christmas colorway. We still have some of that yarn in the shop, along with a few Christmas colorways that will not be coming back until the holiday season of 2021. So if you're wanting to get some Christmas yarn so that come September or October and you are wanting to cast on something for the holidays so that you have it in time to wear, you can grab a skein right now. So this is Hibernation, and yeah, really have enjoyed working on. So these are finished. I thought that I knit them my size, but I'm quite sure that these will be Elodie's size next year. These definitely will not fit me. And then I finished a pair of socks out of a Homespun House yarn as well. I knit these on our soft sock base. Oh, I knit these out of our gold stellina base, and then I knit the contrast out of our cashmere base, merino cashmere. So this is our soft sock base, and this is another pattern by me. It is called the Dale socks. These are inspired by my grandma Sue, and I really enjoyed knitting these. I, for the first time, went up 1/2 millimeter needle size when I did the color work, and I think that was the best thing I could have done because these socks fit me perfect. I can slip them on effortlessly, and I have had problems in the past when knitting a color work leg of being able to fit it over my heel. So these ones fit great, and I just think they're so sweet. I absolutely adore them. I have 2 more pair of socks, and one of them is our Christmas at Hogwarts colorway. This is a colorway that as soon as I dyed, I knew that I needed to keep a skein for myself and knit with it. And you all loved it as much as I did, which made me so happy that for the first time, I'm bringing back a Christmas at Hogwarts colorway next year. So while you can't get this now, it's not available at all. It should be available in September or October whenever I fancy getting Christmas colorways dyed up, probably October this next year. So I enjoyed knitting these so much. This pair I knit out of our plump merino base. So we have 3 socks all knit on separate bases. And then we have the final pair of socks that I knit. My friend Anna, who those of you who are Patreons will have seen her on some of my vlogs from when we lived in America. She's a knitting friend, and she knits a lot of really beautiful things, chooses great patterns, and I was super inspired when I saw her knitting a pair of crunkled socks by Kay Jones from the Bakery Bears and thought I need to make a pair of those for myself. So monthly in the autumn and winter time, I do a Hygge box. And there are a lot of different things in these boxes of Hygge. There's always yarn of some sort. It might be 1 skein of yarn, 2 skeins of yarn. It might be 10 mini skeins. It might be 4 50-gram mini skeins. There's so many different things that could be in this yarn box. There might be some sort of a knitting book, beautiful pattern book by Pom Pom, Making Stories, Leine, so many different great ones. And then I have pottery in my boxes, and this is one of them made by Monty Potts. I'm actually drinking my coffee in there right now. And she always provides something in the box. This box, which is the Cozy Comfort box inspired by my Cozy Comfort blanket, will not be having a mug. I just want to throw that out there. It will be something completely new in the box that I know you are going to love. It's so cozy. It's so brings you into the hibernation of your home, and I hope that you love it. So we have a charm by Simply Serving as always in there. Cozy Comfort box of Hygge comes with the pattern. There's always a candle featured in our Hygge boxes from Jokka Katzen, who is a candle maker here in Germany. I love him. He makes just the most beautiful, beautifully smelling candles. They're absolutely great. Anyway, this yarn, I'm getting so off track, was in the holiday box of Hygge. And I, again, had to keep a skein for myself. It's called Candlelight. It was dyed up on gold stellina. And I just think these are so beautiful. I knit the legs extra long. I did a heel flap and gusset, which is how I've just been knitting my socks lately. And I love these socks so much. So the crunkled socks by Kay Jones. I love the way they look. I think they're super sweet and they have just the most fun texture. But I really, really, really love knitting stockinette socks. It's not that these were a pain to knit. I wanted to grab for my stockinette socks so much more. And I don't know how many pairs of textured socks I will be knitting in my future. I think aesthetically they're beautiful, but socks for me have always been the thing that I grab when I just need to sit and knit. I enjoy moving my hands all the time, and sock knitting really gives me that complete mindless knit. I've been knitting socks for years and years, and they're just second nature. I don't have to look, and I really do not have to think. So anyway, I have no socks on my needles now. I just finished the crunkled socks, and Robert desperately wanted me to knit him a pair of socks because I haven't knit him a pair of socks in, gosh, over a year. So he chose one of our new colorways coming to a Homespun house this January, and he chose it on our gold stellina. I think you can see the sparkle in there. It's absolutely stunning, and I'm so happy that he chose a pair of socks on gold stellina. So he chose lingonberry as the contrasting color, which I find very interesting because it is quite a similar color, but I'm excited to cast these on. I'll probably wind up that yarn today. I had been waiting to finish my mystery advent knit along, the pink version that I just shared with you. I finished that this morning to cake up this yarn. I'm just going to knit a simple stockinette stitch sock, and Robert wears a size 14. He likes his legs very long, so I will be using up every ounce of both of these yarns. All right, the final thing that I have been working on, I'm pretty sure, is my September sweater by Petite Knits. And I decided to knit the medium size of this sweater because I wanted it to be quite oversized. But those of you who, again, follow me on Patreon will have seen me try this on and will have seen me sitting in it, and it looks so frumpy. So I am finishing it. I'm going to finish it. I did make the cuffs way smaller than the pattern asked for. I made it half the size of what the pattern asked for. So these are like balloon sleeves to the max. I do not like when I'm in the studio and I'm wearing a big sleeve and it just dangles in my work. So for me, I made these extra small so that there is no dangling. All that I have left on this sweater is the neckband. And I don't know why I haven't finished it, because I have had this sweater finished for so long, at least what feels like a long time. And I think the neckband will probably take me 1-2 hours max. So I'm knitting this on something that I honestly hate to mention because I don't even know where you can get it. So this is a yarn base that I was trying almost 3 years ago when we initially moved to America. Is that right? I'm not sure. Anyway, it was sometime around that time. And it is alpaca, it's silk, it's mohair, and it is a worsted weight yarn. So it has a really beautiful halo to it. And this whole sweater is knit using brioche. I think I have used a total of 3 or 4 skeins of yarn, and I haven't alternated at all. I have completely changed the way that I dye my yarn in the last 3 years to really, really make an effort that colorways are as similar as possible. Now, I know that when you're dyeing hand-dyed yarns, especially if you're dyeing a speckled yarn, your colors are impossibly going to be the same. However, you can get them pretty close depending upon the technique and way that you dye yarn. And when I first started dyeing yarn, I was using huge pots of yarn. I had way too much yarn inside of my pots. And goodness, those colors were not even. So anyway, in our shop, you can purchase sweater quantities of yarn, and that be it 3 skeins or more, and that way you get as much cohesion as possible, because it really sucks to knit on a sweater and be knitting it out of a blue tone color and have one blue tone be way more gray than the other or way more green than the other. That being said, I definitely recommend the dyed to order button on the web shop. I've just added a ton of sock sets to the shop. You guys have been asking those all Christmas season, all autumn, and I'm so happy to slowly start flowing in just some different sock sets. Mini sets are a huge priority for me. There's something that I've been trying to dye up almost daily to add to the shop, which is super fun because, as I mentioned, if it is a speckled minis skein set, then they are always one-of-a-kind sets. They're not something that will ever be offered here again. Last year, I had started doing the Little House on the Prairie series yarn club featuring a charm made by Simply Serving in the shop. We're now starting the continuation of that club, so we have By the Shores of Silver Lake. So if you guys have been joining in on that club, you don't want to miss out on this one. The yarn and charm are super special. I really enjoy doing that club. Little House series is a series that I have been reading every night for the past couple of years. I just continue the continuation of reading that book. And I'm actually reading the book. I'm not listening to the audiobook. That is a book that I read rather than listen to. So super special to me. I grew up with it. My mom grew up with it when she was little. And we just really adore the Little House series. So if you want to get in on that club, as I mentioned, there is a 100-gram skein of yarn, or you can choose to add on a charm if you would like to as well. We have those boxes of Hygge in the shop that I mentioned. I'm not sure if this will be the last box of Hygge before the fall of 2021, or if we will have one more. But if you like mini skeins, if you like cozy things for your home, if you love beautiful knitting books and charms and candles and other fun things, I definitely recommend this box for you. I can hear my little girlies in their bedroom playing with Legos. It's about time for me to start making some sourdough bread, as I've recently gotten into making all of the different sourdough things this past summer of 2020, and really enjoying it. I know there are a lot of other bread makers as well. It's just so much fun. We don't buy bread anymore. And it's funny because once you start making your own, especially sourdough bread, where you're creating your own yeast, store-bought breads just have a very different stale flavor. It's not as good as I once thought it was. Anyway, so time to sit, relax a little bit. I should probably finish the neck of my September sweater. That would just be so fabulous. So maybe I'll do that and ponder a new cast on. I have seen that Tristan Molina has come out with a beautiful pair of fingerless mittens. I think they're called burrow mitts by Dragon Horde Yarn Designs, which is Tristan Molina. And she had a wonderful Vlogmas. If you guys didn't watch that, definitely go ahead and check it out. I adore Tristan. As a person, as a designer, as a yarn dyer, she just creates such beautiful things. So anyway, I have no idea where that thought came from. I guess it's time for me to stop talking and, as I said, enjoy my coffee. Oh, because I said I want to look for something new to knit. Yeah, I've really been intrigued by knitting fingerless mitts. When I was knitting 10 years ago, I went through a phase that I knit a lot of Unijang fingerless mitts. That pattern was super popular. And I don't know, I'm kind of itching to knit a pair of fingerless mitts again. If it would be Tristan's fingerless mitts, if it will be a different pair of fingerless mitts. Tristan's include color work, which I just think is beautiful. Or if I want to design a pair of fingerless mitts. I don't think so. I think I'm already scratching that off. Anyway, time for me to get going and relax and enjoy the snow outside. I do hope that we see each other sooner rather than later.